Good evening and welcome to Boston Newsnet. I'm JR Strauss, and these are your top stories. Boston Newsnet has learned that House Speaker Sal DeMaisi, seen here fiendishly stroking his mustache, is considering offering his resignation next week. The news comes in the wake of a recent scandal involving friend and former accountant Richard Vitale, who was indicted on charges of illegal lobbying practices. DeMaisi has been the focus of both state and federal investigations for months, and may be feeling the pressure. Or, as we at Boston Newsnet would suggest, it might stem from the fact that he looks crookeder than Ted Kennedy's CAT scan. Especially if that CAT scan is guilty of ethics violations. Last week, adorably oblivious Governor Deval Patrick announced that he has sought permission from the federal government to put tolls along the borders of the Bay State. In an interview with Radio Boston, Patrick said, "What I would love to see is border tolls at all the interstate entrances, maybe Route 3 as well. In other words, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York. Maybe you keep something at the tunnel." This plan not only follows the governor's decision to freeze wages throughout the state, but also his $128 million cut to local aid. These measures suggest that Governor Patrick has indeed changed during his last 2 years in office by going fucking crazy. Fans of both wrestling and hot girl-on-girl action had a chance to indulge their passions at the Boston Club Church last night as Blow, or the Boston League of Women Wrestlers, took to the mats. For just a few dollars, patrons had the chance to see the likes of Betty Rage, Skank Williams Jr., Greenline Greta, and Malicious Mile Heidi as they beat on others as onlookers cheered. In other words, a quiet Friday on Lansdowne Street. Potential attendees shouldn't be put off by the violence. The promoters of the event see the league as fun, safe, and ultimately empowering. Those interested in bringing children are warned that it might not be appropriate for all ages, at least when they're being accompanied by the ugly fucklings. A report released last week claims that bullying is not only on the rise in Massachusetts, but that it is also taking on new forms as internet and cell phone use increases amongst young people. The study was conducted by the Massachusetts Aggression Reduction Center, an organization with an impossibly optimistic name. In a study conducted at several South Shore high schools, researchers learned that the victims of bullying were not only subject to abuse at school, but also virtually, via text messages, social networking sites like MySpace and Facebook, and even blogs, a trend that has been dubbed cyberbullying. When asked to explain their behavior, 71% of students interviewed responded that they bullied online because they didn't have to see the victim. 56% said they did it because it allowed them to pick on their peers anonymously. And 19% said they bullied online because they were just going to bully anyway. After normalizing the response rate, Boston Newsnet's statistical analysis team can safely report that 146% of teenagers are assholes. And those were your top stories.